Okay, my contention is that from what I have seen from my interactions with academia and all of the top universities, I found that there was very little fiduciary obligation being met. And what is a fiduciary? Fiduciary is somebody typically that looks after your financial interests, which is to give you a better job in life and your status and so forth. And you have to, well, here's what it says right here. This is exactly what it says. A fiduciary relationship, one person, which is the student, in a position of vulnerability, extreme vulnerability, justifiably vests confidence, good faith, reliance, and trust in another whose aid, advice, or protection is sought in some manner. That is to be educating them. In such a relation, good conscience requires the fiduciary to act at all times for the sole benefit and interest of the one who trusts that particular fiduciary. And my claim is, and I can't see any way you can possibly defend academia for all of the denials instead of investigations. Denials are not looking out for the best interest of the student. Investigation of things that have material evidence, which I am presenting just like this. Okay, my friends, I have the DNA reports that prove that this is a human lung, petrified, and what it is it's a mud fossil, and that's they call this feldspar. It's not feldspar, it's a tissue of life, and that tissue of life is on all, and I took the blood myself, personally extracted it, drilled holes into the red, bloody, fleshy areas, and I extracted it myself, carefully, clean. You drill a hole first, and then you clean that all up, and then you drill deeper in, and then you take that. And when you're in the artery, once you're in the red blood, you're in the red blood. Now, I did the same thing here with this one. Now, they might have accepted things if I'd have stuck with a human-sized lung, but this is a human fingertip, and this is also DNA certified, CAT scanned, anatomist verified. It's absolutely 100% certain what it is, and I have the rest of this hand, and knuckles and fingers and all kinds of things. And if you look at it in the CAT scan, you can quite easily see this. And this is 5 years ago. This was done 5 years ago, over 5 years ago. And at that time, I had all of the evidence. Now, this, you see this spot here and this spot here? That's the spots right here, here and here. Now, I broke it open to get the blood from up inside, which was not contaminated or anything. Now, and this was all CAT scanned, and Jesse Garant and Associates did the CAT scans on it. You can see where all the blood supplies is and so forth, and as it went up through the CAT scan. They did a fabulous job. And, you know, that was a long time ago. Now, that's another part of this finger, another finger from it. Here's the palm. Right there, take your left hand, hand it out like this. That's your bumper part of your palm down there. And then there's a little strip that goes down. That's this, that's you. And that's your hand. The thumb would run off here. And I have fingers and knuckles, and I actually have toes now. I found all kinds of stuff from this. And that's been DNA certified, 100%. So there's no fake stuff here. It's just it's refused to be examined. Now, is that a fiduciary, responsible fiduciary? No, I don't think so. I think that is working in their best interest so that they don't have to justify the fact that they're wrong. And, you know, they are wrong, so that's just a fact. Now, how do we change that? How do we start to investigate this? How do we open up alternative, you know, programs? And then, because right now they're just teaching nonsense, absolute nonsense. Atomic theory is nonsense too. Atomic theory is so simple, it's just ridiculous. All it is electrons, and the electrons build the protons. There's 1837 in a proton. I've showed this a million times. And it covers every bit of electronic interaction. Again, showing the particles accelerating, showing the particles of light themselves, showing the particles coming apart, the muon and the... These are things that have to be understood before you can even think about anything. If you don't understand how we've been taught everything wrong and forced to recite it and pay to teach us the wrong stuff. To me, that's extortion. Forcing you to pay a hell of a lot of money to be taught something that you have to repeat, or that's intimidation. If you to say anything wrong, they destroy you anyway. And peer review and this whole system of absolute refusal by every single one, and I mean I've dozens and dozens, I have tried to push this and push it on. And to me, that's racketeering, however you want to look at it. Fiduciary failure is quite obvious. Students are being used as merchandise. At this point, they are strictly merchandise. Here's where the real rub lies. This is a fingertip. Now, I showed you this one here. All right, this one's a puppy. That's a little tiny one. And it's a little eroded. The fingernail's gone. But all the rest is here. Now, this one here isn't even eroded. That's the fingernail. That is the fingernail. This is 36 inches long. It's about 28 or 30 inches wide. That is the bone in the back of the knuckle that hits the next bone. These are, I'm not sure, they're blood supplies, or I'm not positive about that, but they are some form of biological entry. They're nerves or tendon or whatever it is. But that is the fingernail. And you say, oh, Roger, how can you be so sure of that? Well, because I broke off the fingerprint on the other side and took the DNA from up underneath from an artery. And you say, fingerprint, can you prove that? And I say, absolutely, I can. There is the fingerprint right there. Just exactly like your fingerprint. Only it was on 30. Look at the size of it. My whole finger fits in a sweat pore. There it is right there. There's the grip skin. That's the grip skin. It's exactly what it is. No difference whatsoever. That's the thickness of it on this guy. And up inside, after I broke that off, I went up inside and got some blood. And it was excellent. It was dense. All right, I'm not going to bother showing the lab that did this, but it was a certified lab. Apparently they're intimidating him, so he's asking me not to use his name, and he asked me really not to even start talking about this, but I paid for it, so I can certainly talk about it. And this was a certified test. It was done with the best quality. I talked to him. I have a recording talking to him about what they did and how the results, and he was very upbeat about it. This is 5-6 years ago now. And these are all the way it was done. Very, very, I told me everything they did, and it was very, very good. And they did negative controls, and he said the DNA was pretty dense and positive for this and so forth. And there was no issues whatsoever with it, really, that I could determine. And this is what is the most important part. This is excellent quality DNA sequence obtained from the 36-inch tip, that big, gigantic one, and the lung sample using these primers. Now, and they're Homo sapien. That's all it is. It's two different regions. When they have two different regions like that, it's an absolute certainty. Well, I'm saying, they say it. It's an absolute certainty. It's a Homo sapien mitochondrial DNA, and it's all, this is mother's side. So it says we all come from this same line of creatures, and one of them is pretty freaking gigantic. So this is what is the killer. This is the killer. Now, when I discovered that the academia was so against anything that they seemed to invade their territory, I went out and I said, oh, I'll take over their entire territory, and I did. And I found out that every single thing that they're talking about in these realms is wrong. Geology, atomic model, the Earth, the magnetic ether, the magnetic field, our interaction with the atmosphere, the rocks on Earth, the history, the ancient texts, space debris, is all biological. Not a single thing we're being told is correct. And nobody will interact with one of us. Not even one single thing that I am presenting. And everything I am presenting is supported by physical evidence. It's physical evidence. It's stuff, most of it actually can be tested and seen whether or not it's right. And I tested it, and it is right. Here's an example right here. In this one set of pictures, I destroy Einstein and everything about atomic physics right now. Totally wrong. Absolutely 100% wrong. There is the wave of a particle which is called a photon, and it surrounds a huge magnetic field surrounds that photon, and that is what the wave is being created by, because the whole ball has to come through, but the particle is here. Here is the particle being sucked out of the wave because we are forcing it through a venturi. The venturi is here. The particle now is being sucked from the wave. Any child can see that. And the particle is right here, and what does the particle look like? It looks just like that. It's back-to-back black and white balls. That is Cherenkov radiation muon and Cherenkov radiation electron shower. Now, how can I say that with almost certainty? Because I can divide those. And here they are divided. It was the particle, back-to-back, black and white. Now the black one was walking around and going around to the outside until it comes back to the white here. The black is gravity, the black is the muon, the black is the muon neutrino, and I say it's dark matter. And it goes around to the outside. The white, the ball that was attached to the black, is explosive. That creates electron showers. And here's exactly what CERN says. I agree with them, but they won't talk to me. I'm serious, and I've tried. I've given it every effort I can to get through to any of them, and not a single one will respond. That is the muon, the black ball. That is the electron shower. These are the high voltage, which they call Cherenkov radiation. It's high speed coming into a less. Trust me, it's exactly what we saw there. It's a high speed or high voltage electron muon combination. They don't realize they're attached together. They see one of these, and they say, ooh, look at that. They're the smallest particles, but they have no clue about their nature. That is dark matter. That is what causes push to shove. Anytime there's a white ball pushing against another white ball, you have push to shove, and you have energy. Anytime there's a black ball sucking into a white ball into it, that's gravity. The two of them together can either be excited and concussing, or they can be basically stagnant, just sitting there, and be what's called ambient temperature, and nobody's moving one way or the other. Nobody's pushing, nobody's shoving. If you're pushing and shoving, you're either leaving to go to a colder place, which has less electrons. Anytime it's colder, there's less electrons. Anytime it's hotter, there's more electrons. Case closed. They can flow back and forth through materials. At certain points, they become so reactive, they jump. And that's when you have static, you have lightning, you have electric discharges, you have all of that other stuff, and light. It's pretty well understood now by me, specifically, that every one of these particles, hydrogen is 1,838 or so particles. Helium is 7,352 particles. And every one of them is one of these together, an electron. There is no such thing as protons, neutrons. I want to show this. I could show it. And it absolutely 100% makes sense. And all of the top places are coming around, but they don't want to come right out and say, all right, let's take a look at it. They're talking about it. Say, okay, we can't explain this. Absolutely can't explain it. And they cannot explain what I just showed you in the light acceleration experiments. It cannot be explained. Well, let me put it this way. It can't be explained with the way they explain things. It's impossible. Right there, everything's destroyed in atomic physics right in that one single picture. Case is closed. Start over. All right, this is going to be quick and easy. Electron flood theory explains the whole thing. Red pulse laser, bip, 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 bip. That is the bip, bip, bip from the red pulse laser. It's literally, though, a dot of a particle way down inside a ball, and the ball controls a huge region, and then we force it to compress itself into this venturi. Forces it to accelerate, just like a hose, just like a hose, garden hose. That's all it is. Now, what happens is the particle now shows itself. And what does that particle actually look like? Well, the particle looks like that right there. It's a black and a white ball and a black and a white ball. To me, and these are both magnetic particles, and they're back-to-back magnets, really, dipole magnets. Now, if you want to see what they look like when this finishes concussing through the venturi, you will find that the black ball walks away from the white. The white is here, and the black balls are all around the outside, not a single one in the middle. What is in the middle is this coming at us. This is what's called electron showers. Now, just to show you what CERN has to say about this, their electron showers are right here. Hold on. All right, their electron showers are these made from these electron neutrinos, they call them. Now, that's what I just showed you, electron showers. And the black ball is the muon. They come through together at a high speed, which I'm going to show you they're coming through high speed. We accelerate them. When they did, they exploded, and then they separated. And that's what they found. And that's what we have. So I don't know what the big deal is, why they can't take a look at it. We accelerated. Here I showed you the light coming. This all it was light. Light is light. I showed you it was a black ball and a white ball and a black ball and a white ball. And now the black balls are around, they're on here. And the white exploded like a bomb. They come back together down here. Now, if we can get this, the light is nothing more than particles. They're electrons. Light hits you, it warms you up. Light hits solar panels and so forth. It creates electricity. It's electricity. Those are electrons. Now, right here is the sweet spot, I think. There's nothing but electrons here. The black balls are all around. Now, they have something right now that they call lepton universality is violated, which means that there could be more black balls than white balls that exist, and I believe there are, because you could see they separated, and the same white one isn't going to find the same black one that's separated from here. They're just going to go randomly. So whatever it is, maybe there's some exactly the same amount. I don't know. I wouldn't think so. Why would there be? They can completely separate. Absolutely no question. No question whatsoever. And in my mind, there's no question whatsoever. That black ball right there is not going to find the white particle that it left from somehow and find it down here. No, absolutely not. So they're completely separate particles. We know they explode one, and the other one does virtually nothing. To me, that's the muon and black dark matter. It's dark matter. And the other one is what we always called an electron. We never knew it was attached to the dark matter. That's all. That's all there is to it. All right, once again, I got to be honest with you. I am just guessing. Somebody's going to have to do the experiments. I'm not going to do them. This is the light coming from the sun or from wherever it comes to. And then we need something here which would be like a tube, a huge collector tube, where we would, like radiate it down into there and collect it in mass, whether it's magnified or whatever. And this would be a, what do you call it, fiber optic. All right. Now, to me, what you're collecting is all kinds of particles, and they're going to be both the positive and negative, the black and the white, I would assume, although they're going to be pretty excited and they're pretty compact and forcing each other to react with each other, I would think, if it was concentrated correctly. But at any rate, you're going to have a package of excited particles, sunlight, coming way down, hopefully deep into the earth, where I believe it will pick up acceleration, just like it's falling down a hill. It's exactly what it's doing. It's falling down a hole. Now, like tip this up, it's coming straight down into the earth, and then at the bottom of the earth, just before we push it into, I don't know what you'd push it into, whether it'd just be the earth itself, because the earth itself will accept it, but you will fill up a region of electrons. As you keep forcing them in there, they're just going to keep adding that and that, and they will flow away eventually, obviously, because the earth will take them. But if you push them into some aqueous solution or some area that was accepted them very easily and they just migrated away quickly, then you would create a lot of draw. It's what will this accept? What will this accept? Now, we may be able to pull them out of here somehow into our collector device. And whatever that collector device is, I don't care what it is, whether there's whatever it is, it's power. We have power. However we use that power, that's up to us. And that the other side of the power is where it goes into the ground. Whether how it does that, I'm not sure either. You might have to have a ton of different copper rods running in every different direction and suck all those electrons in. Or maybe you wouldn't even need them at all because we're going to suck them out of here somehow. And you wouldn't, the heat part would never get there. Just the black balls would end up be there. I don't know. There's a ton of stuff to think about. And what about where it comes in here? Maybe we can do a huge Venturi here. And then what about where it flows through? What is copper here, copper there? You know, there's copper and aluminum. There's all kinds of things. We have to shield it. We have to insulate it. We have to do all that stuff. And drop it deep in these wells. I mean, there's all kinds of wells. And the wells are where there's a lot of water already. And water is an aqueous solution. Well, water is aqua. And it's going to suck out the electrons. I mean, it's worth a try. If we ended up with free energy, I mean, that wouldn't be too bad.